Jerry Lee was born September the 29th, 1935. He come out feet first, running.
Here comes the reason for all this commotion. Mr. Commotion himself, Jerry Lee Lewis. Here he is. Yeah. You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain.
I saw Jerry Lee's debut on network television on the Steve Allen Show.
The first Steve Allen show, he kicked the stool out and Steve Allen kicked it back across the stage.
Jerry Lee was part of Sun Records' $1 Million Quartet.
Do you remember what you were thinking when that was taken?
I was wondering why he was sitting down at the piano. He looked up at me and said, I think everybody should know how to play a piano.
Along with Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis would forever change the landscape of popular music. Jerry Lee had become an internationally renowned superstar. In 1958, he and his young bride Myra arrived in England for Jerry's first European tour.
I was there when he came over to England, and he had just got married.
Finally, I'm going to see this man live.
The British tabloids turned the fact that Jerry Lee married his 13-year-old second cousin into a worldwide scandal.
I don't think as a kid I cared. You know, I don't think it wasn't a big deal.
He came out in the newspapers that, child bride.
When were you married? When were you married? Well, we leave our personal questions out of this, sir.
And I can say, well, you know what? I'm the product of that. I love that. I'm very, very proud. My parents loved each other. They loved each other. It was a different time, and, they were all looking for an excuse, to get rid of this rock and roll. And so, he was the scapegoat.
Rock and roll has got to go, and go it does.
And he never was bitter. He never regretted it. He never questioned it. He just kept on going.
Well, I sometimes think maybe I might have changed a few things if I could go back.
No.
But no.
He went from being probably as big as Elvis was at the time to being virtually out of the business.
It was hard going for Jerry Lee, but he survived the uproar only to fall and rise again in the worlds of country, gospel, R&B, and ultimately with a return to rock and roll stardom in what was to become the most tumultuous career in music.
Great balls of fire.
Jerry Lee was born in Faraday, Louisiana, the son of Mamie and Elmo Lewis.
Well, when I was 8 years old, they bought me a piano. They rolled the piano out of the house, and I was the happiest kid you ever seen in your life. Well, I read in this magazine where Sam Phillips had made Elvis Presley into a star. And I figured if he could make Elvis into a star, he could make me into a star. So I beat the trail toward Memphis.
Sam was on vacation, so Jerry Lee spoke with his engineer, Jack Clement.
And I told Jack Clement I didn't care where he went on vacation. I was going out and sit on his doorstep till he got back home. He took notice to it. He said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to record you right now so Sam can hear you, because I say you're a very desperate musician. I said, I'm a very desperate man. He played it for Sam when he got back. And I said, I'm here to see Sam. Is he back yet? He said, he's sitting in his office waiting. He's heard your record, and he wants to release it. But now, and that night, I heard my record on the radio.
I know Jerry Lee stuff since like day one. I mean, all the songs that I know are people don't know. They're not his modern day what people think of as hits, but they were like the Sun Sessions and the early rockabilly stuff. And we like my band plays that. Well, my Bonnie bee, she like a real queen bee. It's like we do a bunch of Jerry Lee. He was playing in San Francisco, and these punks came out to see Jerry, and they had the leather jackets and stuff, and they're standing in the front of the stage, and you could tell they all had attitude. And Jerry came out, and he came to the front of the stage, and like they were really crushed at the front, and he walked over and just stared at them, and he gave them a look that was like, if he had had a knife, he was going to cut their heart out or something. And these guys just faded, man. They just all faded back, and I went, okay. The Killer, not just the name.
Jerry Lee's definitely set a trend as far as piano players. I think anybody in the world can hear him hit the first lick on the piano and they know it's Jerry Lee.
There's no way to really imitate what Jerry Lee does.
A great command and confidence, and yet sounding effortless. It's like something you'd study in a textbook now. But at the time Jerry Lee emerged, it was just recent history.
It's a very flamboyant style of piano playing. There's something of the evangelical in it.
Jerry Lee combined rock music with boogie-woogie music and country. He was just different. And he impressed me at the beginning because it was so free. It didn't seem contrived at all. It just sounded like he was just letting it go. And I asked him who he was influenced by. And he said, I wasn't influenced by anybody. He said, I was born with what I got.
I trusted you. You know that was my great sin. Darling, I just can't go.
The phone rang and it was Jerry Lee, and he said, why don't you bring your fiddle and come on down? We played a couple songs, and Jerry said, on the mic, he said, I bet I can play that fiddle as good as you can play this piano. And I said, I have no doubt about that. He said, let's try it. And I said, now listen, I said, you've got a bad reputation with instruments. He played a little bit. He said, here. I certainly couldn't play piano like Jerry Lee.